Bonaduce, life coach. Danny Bonaduce, life coach. He was a Hollywood star when he was just a kid, but he partied too hard.
All right, it's time to call Danny Bonaduce, life coach, ladies and gentlemen. We do it every weekday morning. By the way, we will take your emails too, happily. Lifecoach@KZOK.com. Life Coach brought to you by Goldberg Jones Divorce for Men. Call 1-800-DIVORCE, or you can call me right now at 1-800-252-1025. Let's go to Jesse in historic Kent. Good morning, Jesse.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. And you?
I'm all right.
What can we do for you?
Well, I am an admitted compulsive gambler.
Mm-hmm.
I was in the Gamblers Anonymous program for about 4 years before I relapsed. And I have been out now for a couple years and gambling on and off. It's not nearly what it was.
It will be.
Right.
Because you know that. You know that you're gambling right now. What are you playing?
Slots.
You're playing slots.
Yes.
So what you're saying is that you had a real bad problem. You were losing money that you couldn't afford to lose. You were in some kind of recovery program, probably GA, and then you dropped out, and now you're playing slots, but it's not so bad like it was. Is that where we stand?
Yes.
Okay, but you know it's going to be as bad as it was.
Yes.
There's no two ways about that. So, what do you think that you should do? First of all, get back in the program. All the anything anonymous programs are like completely the same. You ever been to an AA, NACA meeting?
Oh, I've been to all of them. Yeah.
They're exactly the same thing. Somebody gets up, they thank you for coming, they pass around the jar, then somebody says, I lost my house, I lost my job, I lost my husband, I lost everything I could lose, my kids won't talk to me anymore, and then, hey, you know what? I'm getting it back, I'm getting together, and then everybody theoretically gets a happy ending, although I've never seen the complete happy ending. And once you're an addict, it's a pretty difficult thing. But they welcome you back in with open arms. What is it that makes you think you can't go right back to that thing that, gave you a prolonged absence from gambling?
It is my humility. And I'm struggling with that because I heard all of the things that people said about the retreads and going in and out and back and forth, and this person, can't handle this, and I know that I should take from the meetings what is important to me and leave the rest there.
That's exactly right. It's a cliche, but that's exactly what you should do.
But it's very, very difficult because of the shame.
Right, of course. Us addicts, we live in shame all the time. But here's the thing, and I'm going to give you another piece of advice, although I'm not sure how well this will work for you. Here's the main piece of advice. Get back in the meetings. They will welcome you with open arms. It's about addiction. Everybody, the whole thing is about being powerless over your addiction. Everybody in there has relapsed. No, they're just going to say, yay, you're back. They're going to say, here, why don't you hold the money jar, for God's sakes? We're welcome to you. So there's going to be no humiliation except on your own. Nobody's going to say, you loser. You know that. Nobody's going to point a finger at you. They're just going to welcome you back, correct?
I so.
I promise you. I promise. Now, here's another thing. I don't know that playing the slots, I don't know how well this is going to work out. What's the greatest amount of money you ever lost in one night?
Well, before I relapsed, 1,000, 1,500.
Okay, and that's rent money. That's grocery money. That's stuff for your kids, right?
Absolutely. And now, see, that's why I keep playing games with my head, is because now I am only allotted a certain amount of money. It's not affecting my relationships. It's not affecting my, finances. But I know it will.
It will. And here's what I want you to do when it does. It's going to seem completely outlandish, but this is not usually on Life Coach. This is something I have experienced. And I've done something like this, but it wasn't gambling and it wasn't casinos. They did a story on a guy in Vegas, and he did something fascinating, and it worked out. Now, he was playing cards and for a lot of money, but an addict is an addict. He took around a stack of pictures to himself to all the casinos. and asked for the manager and said, I'm a gambling addict. I'm losing my home. I'm losing everything. Will you help me and keep me out of your casino? And they all went, well, kinda. And then they asked their legal department, and it turns out that now that they've done that, and now they know that there was a dicey area of legal commitment to that person to make sure they didn't go back into their casino because they asked, go to the casinos where you have a problem. And I'm not saying it now, but if you start to lose the rent money, go up and introduce yourself to the management and say, I'm having a real problem, and it'd be best for everybody if I didn't come into your casino. And they will help you out. They really will. And you're going to find this really weird. Do you know what they have in every major casino? A Gamblers Anonymous meeting right in their casino, and they will avail you of it. So, ask for help all over the place. They're not, if you're walking there and saying, I'm playing the penny slots, they probably won't take it that seriously. Here's what I'm saying. Get back on the program. That's the advice I am giving you. I saw a big player on TV who went in and asked for help from the casinos and got it. And I would think it's kind of weird, but why the hell not? If you're having a serious problem, go on in there and say, hey, I'm having a serious problem. I'd prefer it if you guys didn't let me play your casinos. No, they can't stop you. They won't stop you physically, but they'll come up if they recognize you. But it's a thing with you. Talk about shame. You went to the pit boss and said, don't let me in here. And now you're back in here. That's a good chance you won't go back in. And as far as the 2020 story worked on that particular guy, it worked. My main advice, get back in the program. It'll work and nobody's going to make fun of you. Thanks, Jesse, and hang in there.
800-252-1025. Call that number now if you've got a question for Danny Bonaduce, life coach. Calvin in Tacoma, you're on with Danny.
Hey, Calvin, what's up?
Oh, not too much. I was just going to head out to the town today and drop off some resumes. I was wondering what kind of advice you had.
Well, where are you going to be dropping these resumes?
Mostly small businesses. I would prefer to support the community as opposed to, going and working at like McDonald's or something like that.
What do you do well? What does your resume say?
I have lots of leadership skills. I went to Tacoma Community College for a while, and I was president of different clubs. I've done a lot of volunteer work within the community.
Does your resume reflect all that? Because volunteer work's really good.
Yeah.
All right. So what is your question for me? You know exactly what to do. Here's the one thing I will tell you. Make sure your resume is polished up. There's a couple different programs already sitting in your computer that will help you do a professional type resume. So make your resume concise, make it professional. You should look professional and go in there and, you don't want to do anything where you're going to be asking for an application, correct?
I don't think so. I wasn't sure exactly, what the plan was, except for just to, head over to the library and print a bunch off and then just hit the road and start dropping them off.
Well, that's exactly what I would do, except I would, and feel this out, because I was going to tell you to ask for the manager, and that's still what I'm going to ask you to do, but find out if it's the kind of company where bothering the manager is going to be a real hassle for everybody. So if the assistant manager, if it's the supervisor, but find out who you should ask for and ask for that guy. Hand them a professional resume from a professional young man such as yourself. Tell him you're looking for work, and unless he's just so busy, has no time for his fellow man, he's going to say, well, what are you looking for? And then you get to tell him the same stuff that you just told me, and having just told me, you got a little practice in. So be concise, get your point out of your mouth, dress well, put the resume in his hand, and good luck to you, buddy. You know what? There's jobs out there if you look hard enough.
Good luck to you, Calvin. And if you've got a question for the life coach, call 800-252-1025. Remember, you can change your name. You can call yourself Anonymous or Becky or Steve or Billy or anything you'd like. Billy? You can also, I don't know, Becky.
Becky's good.
You can also email lifecoach@kzok.com. Got an email here from Samantha in Bonnie Lake. She writes, I'm seeing this new guy who seems great in every respect, except he's a terrible kisser. It feels like I'm making out with a St. Bernard with way too much sloppy slobber.
Ew, that's gross. I remember from that when I was a teenager. That's bad.
Is there a way to tell him this without hurting his feelings or driving him away? What can I do?
Well, you know what? You want to put a stop to this before it puts a wedge between you. You know what? It's up to you to be really smart on this and to not hurt his feelings, but something must be done. You absolutely have to tell him. And I would leave the St. Bernard reference out unless you're me. I always try and cover something by thinking it's funny. It's the best way I got. It's what I do. And if you go, man, was your last girlfriend a St. Bernard? There's a lot of tongue in your kisses. I think people will laugh. I really, that's me. I mean, if you want to tell them straight up, and there's nothing wrong with straight up, you know what? There's way too much liquid going on in our kisses. It's freaking me out. Just make sure to laugh and have a good time. Don't tell them they're doing anything wrong, because they're not. You know, somebody obviously kissed this guy this way before you. This is what he knows. Yeah, you need to tell him. I can't imagine. It's not like saying you're terrible in bed. It's not like saying you have a tiny who's-its and can't possibly satisfy me. Guys are going to run for the hills if you tell us stuff like that. Even if it's true, try not to tell us. But if you say, like I said, laughingly, wow, that's a lot of liquid in your kisses, Tiger. You know what? He's going to laugh. He's going to figure it out. And if not, he's going to ask you about it, and you're going to talk for an unpleasant conversation for about 5 minutes. But if you're interested enough to tell him and not break up, he should be interested enough to remedy his kissing without breaking up. The answer is tell him. Whether you're being funny about it, straight up about it, however you tell him, just tell him, and I swear to God, everything's going to be okay.
Yuck.
See, don't listen to her. Well, it is kind of yucky, but that's why you have to tell him, and he'll straighten up. You know what's funny? Give him lessons. Go, come here. Here's how. Come here. No, not like that. Here's how you kiss, and ram your tongue down his throat, lick his eyebrows, and everything. See, that's you. We don't want to do that. Let's do this. It'll be fun. It'll be cool. It's not that big of a problem. It's just embarrassing to cross that barrier, but when you do, it's going to be fun, and it's going to be fine.
I've got an email here from Becky in Puyallup.
Hey, Becky.
Let's see if you're ready for this one. About 8 years ago, I divorced my husband after 20 years. He had left me for another woman. About 2 years ago, I was asked out by a guy who is 18 years younger than me. He's immature but fun. He makes me laugh. He makes me feel young. I'm his first real relationship, and he is head over heels in love with me. However, he's a loser. He lost...
I love this, man.
He lost his license after a DUI. He lives with a friend, doesn't pay rent, though he does have a job. I don't smoke weed and don't approve of it, but he does smoke, although he promised to quit. My family hates him and thinks I can do much better.
You can do much better.
The weed thing could be a deal breaker. Should I give him another chance, or is it best just to walk away?
No, don't walk away. Everything about this guy's a deal breaker, not just the pot. What do you think? If he quits smoking pot, he'll be over 17 years old? Everything in this guy is a deal breaker. But what are the key words in this? Fun. Fun. He makes you happy. You got a divorce. This kid makes you happy. You're smart enough to know he's not the one. Tell your parents he's not the one, or your family. He's not the one. He's really fun. He makes me feel good. I'm not going to wake up one morning and you have to call me Mrs. Loser. I've got this together, man. He's just going to make me feel good about myself. We're going to do young people things. And then, by the way, and don't try and prove me wrong, because this guy needs to hit the bricks, but when you want him to. But you know what? He's going to grow up one day and go, why am I with this lady when I can have another 18-year-old? Let him go on his merry way, but in the meantime, have a ton of fun. Ignore what your family says. Ignore what everybody says. You know, make him quit smoking pot because you don't approve. But if he doesn't stink like it, if he just doesn't smell like pot, don't give him the third degree every time you see him. Let him smoke pot at his own house. But here's the main thing. Do not let this little kid move into your house. Then you're going to take this very seriously. There's nothing serious about this. He's the Matterhorn. He's an excellent ride, but eventually we've got to get home from Disneyland. So do whatever you want with this kid. Have a lot of time. Don't worry what your family thinks. Just have a really good time. And remember, everybody's going to go on from this, okay? So it's really good, and have fun. And I approve of this as long as you don't do anything stupid like marry this kid. I mean, what's he going to do? Skateboard up to the wedding? Don't do it. All right, that's all the time we have for Danny Bonaduce, Life Coach today. Life Coach brought to you by Goldberg Jones, Divorce for Men. Call 1-800-DIVORCE.